Hey everybody, Gary Perot here with my buddy Alton Jones. How you doing, Alton?
I'm good. Thanks, Gary.
Great, great. So Alton is a former LAPD officer who turned real estate investor and rehabber. And he's an amazing guy. He's an author, a best-selling author, a mentor, a coach. You speak from the front. You're an amazing guy, Alton. You have how many? You have three businesses, don't you?
Yeah, we have three businesses right now. We have a house flipping business, information marketing, education business, and we have a funding business. We fund all of our rehabs through.
That's awesome. And your primary thing is it's all about real estate investing. It revolves around that. So
Yeah.
how do you help real estate investors? Hey, everybody.
Well, that's a great question, Gary. We help real estate investors by helping them identify, locating the right type of real estate to purchase, and here in Southern California, and for that matter, throughout the country. What are the best places to buy these properties and how to fund them, and then having a game plan to fix them up and sell them. Because primarily we focus on the fix and flip business. That's our primary goal, is to do that. But we've been on occasion known for also doing wholesaling from time to time. But we like to get our hands dirty and knee deep into it.
So why should people listen to you? I mean, tell us your story. How'd you get started? What's your background?
Well, that's a good question. Well, I've been working in law enforcement as a police officer over 33 years, full time, and now as a reserve officer. I focused on going into law enforcement very early on in my years, at 21 years old, work in the city of Los Angeles, work in the streets of Los Angeles. Also worked in investigations and undercover and stuff like that. It was a rewarding career, but I never did it for the money. And I tell you, I worked everything from South Central LA to Brentwood and Palisades and Brentwood, Malibu, those areas like that, Bel Air. So I saw a lot of things, how the wealthy live versus folks who live the blue collar life, or the even less fortunate income folks that didn't have enough money at the end of the month, So we dealt with people on all different levels in law enforcement, because people have problems, emergencies that we have to sometimes be to respond there too. I love it because I love serving people. I've always had a servant heart. I've always given myself of my time and my knowledge to people for many years, even when I didn't know anything about real estate, whether it was a citizen that needed directions to a venue, or some violator that needed maybe a citation to be corrected on maybe a traffic violation that could have gotten him injured or killed. So, I've always had a servant heart, and I've always tried to give more of myself to others that may not necessarily have that experience before. And it's been rewarding. And now we've taken that information and monetized it and turned it into a business as well.
Well, now, isn't the motto of the LAPD to protect and serve?
That's right. Protect and serve. For many years, that's been the model of the Los Angeles Police Department, to protect and serve. And a lot of other agencies throughout the world actually kind to mimic and match what the big LAPD department is doing to help their departments run better. So we've been, for many years, we've set the standard and the trend as to what a professional law enforcement organization entails and how it should be operated. And we have a lot of our executive staff, command staff that actually, retire and to go on to become chiefs of police at some of these other organizations throughout the country as well.
So how has living up to that motto as a police officer, how has that helped you, set you up for success as a real estate investor and coach?
Well, that's helped a lot, Gary. That's a great question. We actually, work in the streets of Los Angeles and working with so many different people, because Los Angeles is a big melting pot of people throughout our community, from, every nationality, every country, it's like a mecca of people. And so one of the things I learned early on is how to work and deal with people from different nationalities, backgrounds, and talking to folks, interacting with them. So I've always had the ability to interact with multiple different folks in our city. And that's translated in the same thing in real estate. We still work with so many different people, whether it's a seller or a buyer from different backgrounds. Folks want help one way or another. They're in a situation that they may not know how to get out of, or they need advice accordingly. And we're able to figure out identify the problem, isolate it, and be able to provide a solution that's going to help them be in a better position afterwards.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And how did you get started in real estate?
That's funny, Gary. I was watching like Saturday morning cartoons. Instead of watching cartoons, I was watching shows called Flip This House. And you have people like Than Merrill and Robert Awanta Galongo, various people out there on television, and I'm watching that at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, those infomercials. And I've always had an entrepreneur spirit, inside me saying, you got to do more. You got to do more. So, I mean, what's the worst can happen? You can go to work, get shot at and killed, never become nothing. You're just you pass on. But in this type of business, you're able to change not only your life, but the lives of so many other people. So making that decision from watching television and figuring out I can go out there and buy a house that's raggedy, fix it up and sell it, make a profit, sounded like a really good thing, but I didn't have the formal training to do that. The one thing I did know in law enforcement, we had 6 months of formal training, taking a brand new person from not knowing anything about guns, weapons, or use of force, or being able to deal with personal issues. We have been trained every day for 6 months on how to handle dispute resolutions and situations where tactical advantages needs to be looked at. But in real estate, it was a whole new thing. I had to learn a whole new way of using my tactics, my words, my relationships to be able to help people in situations. We weren't going to homes in real estate getting shot at, but it wasn't like we were looking for a bad guy. We were looking for identifying problems and coming up with resolutions and making people come out on top of those things.
So in your business, I know I've heard you talk in front of large groups of investors, and I know that you have a minimum bar for considering something to be a good deal. And I think that a lot of investors get in trouble because they go in thinking that if they can make $20,000 on a flip, that's a good deal. What's your take on that?
Well, if the same kind of work effort you're going to spend on, and I'm speaking of Southern California primarily, if you're in Southern California and I don't care if you're in Watts, in the worst area of Los Angeles, or in the high areas of the San Fernando Valleys or West Side, if you're going to spend the efforts to go make $20,000, you might as well spend the same effort and go identify a property that's going to make you $100,000. And there are properties out there in Southern California, even in Compton, Watts, and some of the, quote unquote, bad areas of Los Angeles. I don't think there's just one bad area of Los Angeles. There's a lot of bad areas, but there's a lot of good areas. You just got to go out there, identify the right type of property. And I know for sure, if you negotiate it right, there's no reason why you should not make a 6-figure profit on every deal that you do here in Southern California, because it doesn't matter. I've done it in Watts. I've done it in Compton. I've done it in, the Midtown areas. I've done it in the high-end areas. It doesn't matter. It's just depending on how you negotiate and how you ask questions. And I think when I talk to different new students, I tell them, whoever asks the most questions is in control of the conversation. Because if I say it, a person that I'm asking, like a seller, would doubt it. But if I ask a question, they say it, it must be true. So I get to learn some different things about people, because I understand people will love talking about themselves. So when I ask a seller about, what do you tell me about the house? Tell me about your house. How long you've been there? So I ask simple questions I probably already know the answer to, Gary, but I want to get them to talk, because I want to open them up and make them feel more relaxed, that they can not only like me, but trust me, because I can know everything about everything. But if they don't like me and trust me, Gary, there's no possible way I'm going to be doing business with them. And I want to be able to work and build that relationship first before I think about doing business with them, because they may have the best property I want to buy, but if they're not the right person that I want to work with, I don't want to choose to do business with them, and I'm going to move on.
Gotcha. And are you doing that, or what parts of your business do you offload to other people?
Well, that's a great question, because we have most of our businesses on autopilot. Like, I don't handwrite yellow letters. I don't write postcards. I don't answer my phone when sellers call. Well, I have a system that allows me to have those things in place. And we teach a lot of that stuff of becoming automated as quickly as humanly possible. Because there's an old saying I also say, and I got this thing called Alton isms. And Alton isms, like, it's okay to copycat as long as you copy the right the cat. So again,
I love
so
that.
I say that all the time, but I'm also saying that I'm 10 feet tall and bulletproof. So, I've been saying that for years as well. But when I look at the seller, I'm asking questions to them to find out what is going to be suited best for them, because we want to create win-win situations, Gary. It's okay to make money while you're helping others people make money. We don't want to have it that we make all the money, they make no money, and they are in a losing situation because they're not going to feel too good about it. And so we're going to do our best to be able to build a relationship first and figure out what is the best way to be what I call as a transactional engineer. I learned that from one of my mentors, Ron LeGrand, is that I don't look at every deal as a house that I'm going to rehab. I look at the deal to see if what is the best fit. Is this going to be a deal that I'm going to fix and sell? Is this going to be a deal that I'm going to buy and hold and turn it to an Airbnb or student housing? Or is this going to be a deal that I'm just going to wholesale, period, and move on? And I don't know what it's going to be, but I know one thing: whatever the situation calls for, we have all these tools. And I go back to my old police days. We had this bag of tools that they gave us. Rather, it's the different. We call it the escalations of force. We have verbal, all the way up to deadly force. But there's a lot of different things, such as taser, bing bags, batons, the gas, mace, and other things that you can do before you actually go from talking to shooting. So you have to use your bag of tricks that you can use to de-escalate the situation. We want to, in the real estate business, identify what strategies that we can employ that's going to make this situation right. Does it call for us pulling out a big bag of money in cash and getting a private loan or hard money loan to acquire this property? Or because if you're trained by me or one of my students that I've trained before, you'll know that we will lead with trying to get terms. What if the seller is willing to owner finance, carry the debt, or take over his debt or her debt subject to the underlying debt remaining in place? Or if it's important, maybe I can do what they call a lease with the option to buy. I don't know what it's going to do, but I don't have to always go get a big old bag of money from a hard money lender and be charged 3 or 4 points at 12 to 15% when I can get the owner to owner finance it or take over debt subject to at little to no cost at all. So we have those tricks that we use to help us through that process.
That's awesome. That's awesome advice. Now, is there a mistake? Everybody makes mistakes, Alton. Is there a mistake that you've made in your past that you could talk about quickly that may have seemed bad at the time, but maybe it's propelled you forward, where either you just learned a great lesson or maybe it was a blessing in disguise that our listeners could learn from?
Yeah, I have a great situation. I have one property that I picked up and bought in South LA, and it was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath that I picked up at an auction, which you can get some good deals at auction. And normally, I look at the situation. I said, "Oh, I got a great deal. I can get in and out really quickly." And so, and it made me change my whole business because of the situation. Is that it was a 2-1, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, about 800 square feet, and I had room to add on, but I didn't. Okay.
Oh.
Because I did it and I remodeled this house and did everything. Big mistake. And it was an area where there were other 3 bedrooms and 2-bath, and I had the room to do it. I just didn't do it. And then the other mistake I made was I didn't put an alarm system in the house as we got closer to finishing it. And so what happened was, one, somebody broke in there and stole all the things like the appliances, some of the cabinets and the water heaters. So we had to replace those twice before we realized, hey, we need to do something. The other thing is what I did not do, which is very, very important. The one thing I can tell you is that when you're having a house that you're going to rehab, when you get to the point where you're about to be finished, it is so important that you stage the house. You have to stage it, because people who are coming to look at your house, they want to see what it looks like. So one, you got to stage. Two, I would consider adding on another bedroom or bathroom. Okay, or both, because when you have families in Los Angeles living in an area where you have multiple families, people don't want to live in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. There's not enough room to put their 2 kids or 3 kids and a family in there. So you need to have an extra bedroom that's going to help you really get off to a great start. So that's the one mistake, because when I didn't do that, Gary, I sat on the market for 1 full year. And
Wow.
and the one thing that can kill an investor is holding costs. The number one thing that investors lose money on is holding costs. When you got 1 year of holding costs, when it was supposed to be a 3 or 4 month project, turned into a 12-month project, there's very little profit in it for you. The good thing is once we realized what was going on, we didn't do the addition, but we did stage the house. So in order for us to sell it, we staged the house, and 2 weeks later, the house was sold to a buyer. And we said to ourselves, anytime we ever buy a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, our goal is to make it a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, or a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath or something like that. That's going to help sell the house. That's the makeup of the neighborhood. So we learned that lesson because it took a year for us to do it. And it cost us a lot of money.
And if you found another 2-bedroom house that wasn't ideal to build up, would you just wholesale it, or would you just walk on that?
Gary, I don't like the wholesale as much as most people think. I like to see what can I do to add value to the house. And I think most folks don't think about that. Well, what do you mean add value? Add value. Well, there's an old Altonism I always say as well, is if you open up the house, people will open up their wallet. So if you understand what that means, people will pay more money if you open it up. These days, the new Jack buyer wants an open concept. They don't want a house that's so compartmentalized that they can't see from the kitchen to the living room, because they want to see family. So in our houses, we put 4-foot by 7-foot islands in there, because that's a place where family gathers around during the dinner time, and they talk and they congregate and they get all the news about the family, and then they can see the other family members in the other room, talking or having conversations. So we open up the house, people open up the wallets, we get more money for our properties than most people would do it in other neighborhoods.
And what did you call that? That's another Altonism?
Yeah, Altonism. Yeah, I call that Altonism. Yeah.
So you're showing people why you're such a valuable coach. How do people get a hold of you? You have your own coaching business. What's your coaching business called?
Rehabs to Riches. That's Rehabs, REHABS, the number 2, Riches. Okay, that's the name of our business, our speaking business. And we have some meetups that we're getting ready to start. But that is primarily our information marketing and coaching business that we do. People are excited about it. We have some of our students right now that have gone some of our training that we just did. We just actually had one this past weekend, a training event. We're going to have another one coming up again. We also have a great bus tour. So if anybody wants to know about that, they can, contact you about our bus tours and some of our 3-day live events as well. And they can get involved that way.
Awesome. So do you have anything that you could give our customers, our viewers, maybe a valuable piece of collateral that you've been using with your students?
Yeah, actually, I do. I have this little small book that I kind of wrote. It says the 4 biggest house flipping mistakes that's made me millions. Okay, this little book here is a host of different mistakes that we've made in rehabbing property. So we've made more mistakes than you can say stick to. I don't know there's anyone out there that's been told no more times than myself. But even despite people telling me no, despite my failures, despite my stumbling, we fail forward. Like by what Dr. John Maxwell said, you fail forward and you succeed. So you only learn from your mistakes. You don't learn from what you did right. You learn from what you did wrong. Those were the lessons are. And I have some short stories in this book about some of the things that I call Ask Me How I Know, because these are the things that's cost us experiences. But despite that, we still made money in the process of doing that. So this is a very easy read. We just ask you to pay the stipulated handling. I'll send out an autographed book out to you, and you'll be in business. So you can learn from our mistakes and what we've done. And I can tell you, we want you to know where the landmines are so that you don't fall into those traps. And you can see a great deal of experience out there. we have other folks that have been successful and moving forward through the process.
Well, you've shared a lot of your wisdom with us on this short little interview, Alton, and I'm impressed. And I've been watching you for years, so I think our viewers will be impressed. I'm going to go ahead and post that in the post show notes. So this is live, but it's also going to get recorded and posted on my timeline. And so I'm going to put some comments underneath and show people how they can get that free resource and also how they can connect with you. How does that sound?
That'd be great. That sounds really good. I look forward to helping you, and you know, and I've been out working together, and you've helped me in some things, you know, because we have a national business, because we do things in other states as well. So it's been exciting.
And what's the next event that you've got on the calendar?
Well, we just finished our 3-day live event. Yeah, we have our bus tour that's coming up. That's a great question when that bus tour is going to be. I believe it's going to be, let's see, the end of May, I think it is. I have to look at the calendar here. I think I can pull it up here. I should have looked at that before I got on the phone.
I should have told you I was going to ask you. I didn't think of that, but
yeah,
it seemed like a reasonable thing to do.
Well, I do know for a fact that we have our next 3-day live event that's going to be in June 8th, 9th, and 10th. And we're also going to be doing a bus tour June 2nd. And then we also have a bus tour that we're going to be having out of Riverside May. There it is. It's going to be May 19th. So we'll have another bus tour May 19th. And then I believe we're going to have a meetup May 19th. She said, okay, there it is, May 19th. And we're going to have a meetup that's going to be here in Riverside. That's going to be May 17th. So we have so much right now going on, Gary, that it's so May 17th is our meetup in Riverside. We have May 19th. It's going to be our next bus tour. May 2nd is going to be another bus tour. And then our 3-day live event is going to be June 8th, 9th, and 10th. So, and that's just now. We have the whole year planned out of events, and right now we can't keep them. It's great. I'll just tell you that. I mean, the last one we just had in Anaheim was just absolutely extraordinary, and we have a good lineup of speakers.
Rehabstoriches.com.
Yes, it's a rehab boot camp.
Rehabs to riches.
Right,
Great.
The number 2. Yes.
Well, Alton, thank you so much. It's been awesome. I really enjoyed talking with you. I may have to go back and listen to this recording again just to take some notes, because you really shared some gems with us. Awesome.
Well, hey, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And like I said, it is okay to copycat as long as you copy the right cat.
Love that. All right. Take care. And thanks, everybody, for watching. I'll go ahead and post this below, and we'll be in touch. Take care.
Thank you, Gary. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.